Sawete Discipuli. The final portion of this lesson on a closer look at the passive voice deals with the future tense. Let's begin by looking at our chart and making note of the future tense endings for first and second conjugation verbs. Please make sure to write them on your chart so that you have a copy of them to make reference to. The endings are bor, baris, bitur, bimor, bimini, buntur. These are the future tense endings that you will see on all verbs that belong to first or second conjugation. When we are looking at verbs written in the future tense, they will be comprised of the same components that the present and the imperfect tense verbs are comprised of. A base found from the infinitive, a connecting vowel, pay attention to the connecting vowels on the connecting vowel chart, and then the appropriate ending to indicate the future tense and the conjugation of the verb, as well as the appropriate subject ending. We will be examining verbs from first and second conjugation using these future tense endings. Make note of the translation as well. Remember that for first person singular and first person plural, we should be using the helping verb shall in front of be to communicate the future tense. For all other subjects, you, he, she, it, and they, we will use the helping verb will in front of the verb to be. If you forget this and mess up, don't worry, I won't count it against you. Now, let's look at some verb forms. We're going to be focusing first of all on the first conjugation verb amo, amara, and you notice that we've got the base and the connecting vowel, and we see the first person singular future tense ending. That's why my subject is I. Shall be is the form of the verb to be, which will communicate that this verb is in the future tense. And then we finish it by writing the past participle form of the verb love in English. So I shall be loved. Again, if you wrote I will be loved, I would not mark it incorrect. Make a note that if we are dealing with second conjugation, you will see the connecting vowel E in front of the ending and after the base. Here is our same verb. This time the subject is you singular. I know that because of the ris. Because I know the base and I know that A is the connecting vowel, I also know that BE is part of the ending. That's part of the second person singular ending. You will be loved. Here we see the same verb, but this time in the third person singular form. Again, always notice how you have the base, then the connecting vowel, and that's followed by the ending. If our ending is a third person singular, we are able to have a noun as the subject, and then we will not use he, she, or it, the pronoun represented by the ter on the end of the word. Here we have the queen will be loved. Now we're moving to look at a second conjugation verb. You should notice the base of the verb, C-O-M-M-O-V, komov, followed by the connecting vowel for second conjugation, and then the verb form ends with the future tense ending for first and second conjugation verbs for the subject, we. I know it's we because of the mer. And then we have shall be to indicate that the verb form is in the future tense, and then the past participle form of the verb. We shall be moved. Kamo we bimini, you will be moved. And then we go to de le buntur. Notice that the BU looks remarkably like the base of the verb, but if we examine the vocabulary, del is the base, E is the connecting vowel, and the BU is part of the ending. Dele buntur. They will be destroyed. Because the ending is buntur, third person plural, I can use a plural noun like cities as the subject, and so I have the cities will be destroyed. Finally, let's take a look at our future tense endings for third and fourth conjugation verbs. Please make sure to write these endings on your chart as well as the sample translation. Here is what the future tense endings for third and fourth conjugation passive voice sound like. Are, aris, ater, amer, amini, enter. So that E is long, which is why it sounds like A. Are, aris, ator, amor, amini, enter. Notice when we look at the connecting vowel chart for third conjugation verbs that there is no connecting vowel between the base and this third and fourth future tense ending. That will prove to be somewhat tricky as we are reading verbs because this E is remarkably like the E for second conjugation connecting vowels. So we'll have to really pay attention to whether the verb we're looking at is from second conjugation or third conjugation in order to know what tense it's in. Here's the verb mitto, mittera. I know from the infinitive and the fact that we have just the letter O on the first principal part that this is a third conjugation verb. That means that what I am looking at is not a base, a connecting vowel, and an ending, but I am looking at a base and an ending. I can tell this is true because I can't tell that it's true. And the reason I can't tell it's true is because the spelling of the present tense form and the future tense form for this verb look exactly the same. That's a curveball you didn't see coming. So how am I supposed to know whether this verb is in the present tense or the future tense? Well, this is a presentation on the future tense, so obviously this is in the future tense. In the context of a sentence, it is just context that is going to help you know that you are looking at the future tense and not the present tense. There is the difference and the dilemma. We have to pay attention to our surroundings when we're reading and what tense makes a better sense in the story or sentence when we're reading it, the present tense or the future tense. It's a little easier to recognize that this verb from third conjugation is in the future tense because it doesn't mimic another form of the third conjugation verb. It does mimic a second conjugation verb, but if I am aware that this verb is not from second conjugation, then I will know that the E is part of the ending. Third conjugation is very, very tricky in the future tense. There will be some questions after this is over to help to acquaint you with understanding better how to identify this as a present tense second conjugation verb or a future tense third conjugation verb. Here's our verb form from winko, winkera. It's third conjugation. Notice there's no EO here. This is in the future tense. They will be conquered. And here the Trojans will be conquered as the subject. Once you move away from a traditional third conjugation verb and go into third IO and fourth conjugation, life gets a little easier because of this I in the third IO or a fourth conjugation verb. That I is going to always make an appearance as a connecting vowel. It looks like I have I and E together as a connecting vowel, but you will only have I and E as a connecting vowel if you see the letters B, A after it. I and E as a connecting vowel is only used in the imperfect tense. Otherwise, it is simply the letter I that is the connecting vowel. This is a future tense verb. You will be captured. Here is the same verb, but now I've changed the subject to he. He will be captured. Here's the same verb, but now the subject is the soldier will be captured. Here is the verb form again, but this time with they as the subject. And here we're using both nouns, Rex and Regina, as the subject. Again, as long as I understand that this I and E make a connecting vowel only in the imperfect tense, then I can recognize that cop is my base, I is the connecting vowel, and enter is the future passive ending. Here is my fourth conjugation verb. Fourth conjugation because of the IRE. This IO will make sure that I need to have an I always as a connecting vowel in this verb, especially in the future tense. So I'm going to see the base, pun, I as a connecting vowel, and then the R as the ending. Punearis, here I have the I as the connecting vowel, and then the aris as my ending. Remember that I and E are only a connecting vowel when we are using it to connect an imperfect tense ending to a verb base. If you do not see the BA of the imperfect tense after the I and the E, you don't have both I and E as a connecting vowel. Only the letter I is the connecting vowel. Puniemur, we shall be punished. Punientur, they will be punished. And now we have the discipuli, punientur, the students will be punished. We're going to be looking or giving you an opportunity to answer a few questions about what you have learned in this video about the future passive endings for first and second conjugation and for third and fourth conjugation verbs. Let's see how well you've learned a few things about the future passive.